Okay, so here's the fun that everybody forgot about. So I was listening to all the YouTubers, Dave Lee, uh, everybody. It was just like Rob Maurer. It was just hilarious listening to them all being shocked about this one little line. Tesla's talk, Tesla tax hit. So what is this? If you can't tell from the thing, this is all about Elon's stock sale. It's actually more to do with his option purchase than his stock sale. But let's go through this bit by bit. So the first part is Elon has a trust, which, like most people, handles all the stocks. It's a good way for him just to not have to have a personal um, relationship with his money. Essentially, it's more to do with he can have somebody else handle it. He can just put the money into it. He can let that person deal with it as an investor. It's a good option for people who have lots of money. And what I mean by lots of money, it's like over a billion. I mean, if you're under $1 million or $1 million, trusts are not really worth it. You're not in the level where you can actually pay somebody to manage your money. You have to have some. You need to have some money. So he has a whole bunch of stocks in there. That's where he sold out quite a bit of stock. So that's $5 billion worth of stock that he sold out of his trust. From that, um, you have to include, as part of that process, you have to include how much it cost him to purchase those stocks. Now, he was granted some stocks, I believe, that were zero cost. I don't know if he's going to take those stocks as part of his sales or not, but needless to say, what he posted on Twitter over the stock sale was he was looking at instead of cost minimization for his stock sales, he was actually looking at cost maximization. Um, well, I should say tax maximization. He didn't want to have he didn't want to take the easy route and use like his last stock purchase from 2020, February 2020. He wanted to use his 2007, 8 stuff, which is understandable. So I'm putting his total cost for the stock sales at about $7 million. Now, granted, that is split adjusted, so it was really about $35 million that he put in. Um, I'm assuming that's what his cost was. Don't quote me on it. Now, the other item to consider is he had a whole bunch of houses he sold off in 2020. He couldn't get one of his houses sold in 2020. It sold in 2021, which is fine. It's going to end up being about $6.6 million profit. Um, Not a huge amount for him. I mean, when you consider the amount of stocks, but it does impact his capital gains because that's what it comes down to is capital gains. So overall, you're looking at $5 billion in trust income with a 20% capital gains on it, which equals 1.16 billion. So a pretty sizable sum of taxes right there. I will also say that there's also going to be some additional taxes on that capital gains. So let's look at those real quick. The first one is the net investment tax. That one is 3.8%. So that also hits capital gains. It also hits his personal income as well, but it does hit capital gains. California income tax is also part of that. California does not reduce down um, your um, your capital gains by any amount. I think that is really silly, but then again, I'm not in California, so oh well, it's their loss. I think it's more to do because other they would have more people stay in their state if they would have people not have to pay their personal income tax on capital gains. I think that's capital gains are long-term investments. So what's the next item there? Last one is California mental health tax. This is a tax specifically hitting. Again, it hits Californians when you make over $1 million. So if you make over $1 million, you're going to get taxed at 1% of that above the 12%. So it ends up being actually 13.3% overall. But I want to split that off just so you can see, okay, yes, there is stuff in there. And that also hits capital gains. So let's talk about his options. So his options are right here. As you can tell, quite a few options that he purchased. He purchased all of them. That was a total of 22.8 million shares after a talk with Rob Maurer. Thank you, Rob, for that little bit of a piece of note, which I didn't catch, was he had done a small purchase of stocks back in 2018, I believe. That purchase was, I think, I'm not sure why he did it, but hey, he did a small amount of options for it. So that was reduced on some of his compensation. So that cost was at $6.24, which is this option total cost. I make that just a line here just so I can see what's going on. The other aspect is there is what is the value of these options, because these are considered income from doing work, according to the IRS at least, you have to give a value to these stock options. So what I found in my research, now I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do it publicly or what Elon's going to end up doing on this, but from what I read was you take the low price of the day and the high price of the day, average it. That gives you your purchase price, or not your purchase price, but your value of that stock price. So that's the low price here, high price, and the average. Very simple, easy, and you just take that value, times it by the number of shares, done. So not a hard thing to deal with. So that gives you your total option average cost of $23.6 billion. Now, one of the aspects you can do is you can take your cost and sort of track that out, because you're allowed to do that. So that puts you at about 23.5 billion. Now, that 23.5 is taxed as income. So that's at $8.7 billion in federal income tax. Now, I do stress that is approximately 37%. It's 36.9999% roughly, give or take a thousandth of a percent. It's because how the federal income tax works. The tax rate is set up 10% for the first couple $1,000s, a few thousand, I think it's up to $10,000, and then 15%, 20, so on and so forth. California does the same thing. So it's approximately 12.3%, but it's really closer to 12.29999%. So that's your two major income tax lines. Social Security tax is 6.2% up to $143,000. So once you get $143,000, you don't pay any more Social Security tax. I personally feel that should be changed, but that's just my own personal beliefs. I have no issues with people wanting to take money out, but I think they should be capped at the amount of money they. It's just my personal opinion. That's the only thing I don't like about our tax system. The Social Security tax is not um, unlimited like Medicare is. Medicare is unlimited tax, 2.35% plus, well, it's 2.35% of the income. Now, Tesla's tax hit on the Medicare is not $551 million. If you can tell, there's a slight difference there. That tax for Tesla is actually at 1.9% because there's an additional 0.45% on people who make lots of money, which obviously Elon fits that category for his options here. Net investment taxes, as I said before, that hits both income and capital gains, so that's the 3% on his option. So most of this is actually his option. California unemployment tax and California trading tax, those are on Tesla, along with the disability tax. That's also on Tesla. So those are minor taxes. They probably pay those every year anyway, so they don't consider that a big deal. But that's part of the thing since he actually made income. And in fact, I think even because he takes that $1 salary, they still pay that tax. So he's actually getting paid more than what he actually earns, essentially. Because I think they have to pay it on his as minimum wage. So I don't know how they handle that part, but it'd be interesting to see. So overall, what do we got here? We got federal looking at $11.5 billion, and California they're getting a $3.9 billion thing. Now, what's interesting too is if you look at this Medicare tax and Tesla's tax hit as well, that means the Medicare trust, if you consider it a trust, is more like it goes to general revenues and then it goes back to the Medicare as necessary. They got almost $900 million increase in funding for 1 year alone. So I think that's pretty cool. Nice to see Medicare actually get some additional investment. But as I said, it's because of the tax code. So Elon's total tax bill for the year should be around $15.4 billion. So pretty impressive. Now he did get $16.4 billion in income for this year, so he should end up with $1 billion left. Now I'm not sure how much he has to pay on loans, or if the banks are going to ask to get his loans taken care of now that he has some cash. They might just do it. Mind you, given his lifestyle outside of his airplane usage, because he has his personal plane, he should have plenty of cash to live on for the foreseeable future. On top of the fact that the 2018 stock compensation plan has pretty much vested now. So why did everybody forget about this $340 million tax hit? I don't know. On the Q4 results, I was really surprised. I put it as part of my things, but I thought Tesla was going to be able to get that $142 million bag in the line. That's why I only put $200 million of it on my lines. It is what it is. I'm not as concerned about it. I thought it was just kind of interesting that I was the only one who found it. Like, hey, there's $340 million that Tesla's going to have to owe. And yes. So there's that. Outside that, there's not much more here to talk about. So yeah, so tax season is upon us now. So for those that owe, wait, don't give federal government more money early. And for those that paid in too much, like myself, I worked a lot of overtime hours last year, so that's the reason why I paid in too much. They tax at a much higher rate. So get your taxes filed as soon as possible so you can get your money back. The federal government does not provide interest for your money. If you get stuff back, just get it back immediately. Why wait? So that's my recommendations on taxes. And then if you're like myself, when you see that you had extra money coming back, not be a bad idea to adjust um, your taxes a little bit for the next year so you can get less money taken out. Because why have it sitting inside of the coffers of the Treasury departments? It's better in your bank account, especially if you have one that pays interest, which mine does. Of course, yeah. So there's that. So if you have any other questions, concerns about this, let me know. Um, Not much here to talk about. I just thought I'd put this together so you guys can see what Elon actually paid. I thought it was kind of cool to see. So